people will always try to change you. They'll always want you to be who they want you to be. And that's fine, because I'll always be exactly who I want to be. Draymond Green said that, and I'm saying this. Welcome to High and Low. Good day and good night. Welcome to the High and Low Basketball Podcast. This is episode number 100 and Peja, aka episode number 116. Subtracting 100 from that number, and we're at 16, which is the number that was worn by Peja Stojakovic, the sharpshooter that was a member of that talented and championship contending Sacramento Kings squad in the early 2000s. Remember that one? Man, it's been a long time since they were winning. But that team featured Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, Hedo Turkoglu, and Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate.
What did you say?
Not sure that's very PC these days. They seem to run into that dynastic Kobe and Shaq-led Lakers team every year. 2001, 2002 was especially the heartbreaker for the Sacramento fans, because the Kings won 61 games that season. They had the best record in the league and seemed poised to finally get past the Lakers. They met the Lake Show in the Western Conference Finals and were up 3-2. 3-2, man. They could smell the finals. They were so close. But then Shaq had two incredible games that fueled LA past Sacramento. And that was it. They never got closer. Done. That was the end of it. Disbanded, finished, and then they just became the Sacramento. What did Shaq call them? The Sacramento Queens?
What did you say?
Ooh, yeah, that's so un-PC in this day.
So, yeah, it really is. It really is. Anyway, my name is Ike Amaechi, and today I am joined by the Iron Man of the High and Low universe, everybody's favorite thirsty hero, the king of the Decepticons, the Las Vegas Aces #1 fan, Ugo.
Yes.
Ugo.
Yes.
Let's give it up for Ugo.
You know what? I think I'm going to have to ask you to no longer refer to me as the Iron Man of the podcast. I want to be now known as the Iron Sheik of the podcast. Thank you.
The Iron. Okay.
Yes, the Iron
Noted.
Sheik. Yes.
The Iron Sheik. I'm noting that right now as we speak. I hope people know who the Iron Sheik was.
Yeah. I hope so. But if not, you get a camel clutch.
Ooh, see, look at that. Deep pull. Camel clutch. That brings up images that are just different from what used to be the case nowadays. Camels. Anyway, around here we live by the strict code governed by the high and low lives of the world, which means we talk about basketball, especially and specifically the NBA, sometimes the WNBA, sometimes. And we talk about it at any time, anywhere, north, south, east, west, high and low. This week on High and Low, we're doing something we haven't done in a while. We're getting into some NBA scenarios. It's High and Low's version of role playing. Ugo concocts these scenarios that puts us in the shoes of players, coaches, owners in the NBA world, and I have no idea where his mind will take us. So let's go along for the ride. We also have a listener question of the week. We'll answer that question. So stay tuned for all that. Before we lock in, let's just quickly check in. Ugo, how you feeling this week, man? It's the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
There are no NBA games.
Yeah.
We are in the NBA desert right now. But life continues, right? Life goes on.
And like I said before, this is probably the part of the season where I just don't give a rat's patoot about what's going on, and I just go do other stuff.
Whoa. What the did you just say to me?
Like, listen, God bless people's hearts, but when you start sending me Drew League clips and LeBron played in Drew League with DeMar DeRozan, I'm like, are we really that desperate now for any type of basketball? Like, come on.
You know what? More on that later. I don't want to get into it right now, but very good point. More on that later.
Like I said, it just
I feel you.
It infuriates me. And then anyway, we'll save it for the other thing. But yeah, stuff like that. Like Like, especially like August and September, it's just like, God bless Woj and Wind and all those guys that do this work. Because I'm like, how do you like make something out of nothing? Like, I would honestly just be like, August 1st, peace. I'll see you October 1st, and not write a damn thing. You know what I mean? But I know they got to eat. You know what I mean? So,
hey, well, you know what? Zach Lowe, he takes off every summer. I think it feels like he goes there every summer. He just takes off for Croatia. I think that's where his wife is from. She's also from Toronto. She's from your neck of the woods.
Oh, smart man.
But it feels like he takes off every summer, like around this time. Like the smart ones they recognize what this time of year is. But anyway, more on that later, man. I got beef. Anyway, Ugo, I appreciate your time this week. Thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for joining us for yet another installment of the program. Another week, another episode, more NBA, some more high and low. I should say more or less NBA. So more high and low, regardless. This week in NBA history, things happened though. Superman left Metropolis. On August 10th, 2012, Dwight Howard, remember that guy? He was traded to the Lakers from Orlando in a deal that involved 4 teams. Philly and Denver were the 2 other teams involved. The trade is interesting because Dwight was still quite effective at that point. He'd been quite vocal about wanting out of Orlando. The trade, it paired him with Kobe and an aging Steve Nash. I think we forget that Steve Nash was at the end of his career at that point. But Lakers fans did not care. They were soiling themselves regardless for some reason. I'm not sure why. Steven's favorite center, Andrew Bynum, he was shipped to Philly in the deal, so it kind of created that space for Dwight to run amok. However, the most interesting part of this scenario was the entire season that followed. An absolute disaster. Steve Nash, he appeared in 50 games before injuring his back, and he was pretty much done after that. I think he appeared in like 13 games the following season, which was his last, and that was it. Yep. But Dwight Howard and Kobe, for that one season in LA, they could not get along. Actually, you know what? Understatement. They hated each other.
Oh yeah.
Hated each other, man. And Lakers fans were convinced that Kobe was going to get another ring when they announced the trade. I was just kind of like, what? You do realize that this is not Phoenix Suns Steve Nash. And Dwight seemed like he was kind of like on the decline himself. And Kobe definitely was on a decline, even though he was still, he was still playing at a high level.
Yeah.
But it just seemed, I don't know, it seemed like the expectations were way too high. The Lakers ended up winning 45 games, got swept by the Spurs in the first round of the playoffs. Dwight left for Houston the next season, which turned out to be a similar experience.
Yeah. So 2 things on that real quick. One, can you believe they brought Dwight back? Right?
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah, and 2, compare that team to last year's Lakers team. Like which one would you rank lower?
Oh, I definitely rank that 2012 team.
Really?
Definitely.
Okay.
Because at least, well, you know what? That's an interesting question because I guess Steve Nash would be the equivalent of Anthony Davis, both street clothes. Street clothes Steve and street clothes Davis, at that point. So those guys kind of X each other out. But Dwight and Kobe versus LeBron and Russ? I don't know.
Who's a bigger headache, Dwight or Russ?
Oh, wow.
Because that's what you're really asking, right? And no offense to Russ or Dwight, but it's like, who? Like that's what maybe Steven can answer that question. That's his scenario.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at that point, it was probably Dwight. It's Dwight because remember his time in Orlando, at least the end of it, was just rocky. He asked for the trade the season before. He was rumored to go to the Nets. He was an absolute disaster, and he carried that over into the Lakers. So I'd rather have Russ.
He should be top 75, but man, that last half, I think that's the only reason why they didn't put him in there.
Yeah, he was on his way. I mean, he was definitely on his way. In Orlando, he was incredible,
which again is not fair. But
yeah,
it is what it is when you tell people to vote.
It is what it is, man. Dwight went from Superman to Bizarro. This guy, at that point, after that, he was just a journeyman. That's essentially what he turned into. Yeah. Anyway, that's a little something for the NBA history nerds. Things are kind of happening in the NBA today. Man, actually not really.
No.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about something important. Okay, before we get to our listeners' question this week, and Ugo alluded to this earlier. I have to get this off my chest. We've been lying to ourselves. Okay. Big lie. We've talked about how the NBA has created this perpetual product that keeps the league relevant all year, even through the summer. I've said it myself. That is not true. That is not true at all. Sure, there are some spicy bits of information for us to chew on at the start of July with free agency causing a frenzy of movement. Sure, there's the NBA Summer League, sure. But see, I had to draw the line and be honest with myself. And Ugo, you brought it up. When I saw people posting stat lines from the Drew League, I had to take a step back and ask myself, what is going on? Do I really care how many rebounds and blocks Montrezl Harrell got against a team of retail managers and construction workers?
Yes, preach.
Shout out to retail managers and construction workers.
Yeah, no offense.
No offense. Respectfully.
Dude, I didn't even know they were taking more stats than points.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, who's the statistician? Because honestly, I've never in my life had I seen it. And then people are acting like these stats actually go into your official NBA stats. And I'm like, dude, this is barely a pickup game. Okay. Like I almost put this like maybe a couple of inches above like a Harlem Globetrotters game. You know what I mean? Like
it's a beer league.
Yeah, like a beer league, maybe and one-esque. Like you sit there and you're just like, wait a second. Like what was the one with Trey Young and what's his name? They were together in one of the games, and people were talking about Trey's ready for the season, and nobody's going to be able to stop him. I'm like, based on Drew League? Like,
I know.
What are you talking about here? Like, you can't base this on Drew League. That's not a real league. Like, it's not even like, even if he was practicing against NBA players, maybe like, you see the ones where they're working out in the gym and stuff like that. Maybe you can give some credence to that. Maybe, right? Like the one that shows Donovan Mitchell getting cooked by what's his name, the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, Paolo.
You know what I mean?
Paolo Banchero,
they're trying to, rip on Donovan, like, he can't play defense, he can't control him, like, which again, like, I'm not saying Donovan is like, a top 10 defensive player, but okay, come on, man, we talking about practice, you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, practice.
That's what it is.
Why is Donovan going to try to go all out and blow his ACL or something on a rook? Like, come on, like,
anyway. People treating that footage like it means something. So you the thing is, like, you guys know that this was edited, right?
Oh,
like,
my gosh.
The 90 seconds of footage that you're watching where Paolo it seems to be scoring every basket on Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that, first of all, just to your point, Donovan's not going to, you think he's going to be playing some hard defense?
Nope.
And also, you're just showing the highlights. Anyone can look good if you just basically use the clips of where they scored, as opposed to when they missed. You know what I mean? Like we could make Ben Simmons look like he's a sharpshooter, with the right type of editing.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Actually, let me take that back. Not possible. Not possible. If you don't shoot, then it's not possible. Anyone but Ben. But I was even looking at the Summer League. Like, I was thinking, do I really watch the Summer League? Like, aside from a quarter or maybe a half,
I don't watch it.
And I'll catch that just to get a first look at like the top 3 draft picks. But I don't watch the summer league. I don't watch it.
If I watch summer league, I'll be honest with you. The reason why I liked watching some of summer league was it was an opportunity to see some of the up and coming TV analyst talent. Right, that's where they got a lot of practice and understood, the nuances of that side of the business. So, dudes like, JR and Vince Carter and a couple of those folks that would come up through that avenue, then you could kind of say, okay. Oh yeah, sorry, Chris Webber and some of the other ones. You would pay attention. You'd be like, okay, I can see this person fitting in on my Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, like, whatever, NBA TV programming that they have. Right. And then you start to really understand how much knowledge certain folks have of the game. So for example, like Vince Carter, like I honestly believe he is going to be a mainstay shining star in the analyst side of things. I don't know if he'll be quite the same flavor as Jalen, because Jalen doesn't really do the in-game stuff, which I would love to see him do. But like for the in-game stuff, I can definitely see Vince Carter excelling on that and being a regular. But it was in the summer league where I saw him talking about the game, talking about players, and just the way he was just able to show how much knowledge and how he was able to just flow seamlessly with what was happening on TV and the TV crew. I was like, yeah, this dude's got it. He can do it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's where they get to cut their teeth.
Yep.
So to speak. And so it's a great opportunity to see some of the up and comers. You get a chance to look at some of the players that are transitioning into media. It's great for that. It's great for that. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think we have to come to terms with what this is.
It's nonsense.
The NBA, it's not a year-long product. Like we've propped it up to be. The NBA is a desert in the summer, and you know what? It should be. It should be. Let these guys rest, and maybe we should too. Maybe we shut down the pod until October.
Yeah.
Come back on opening night. Hey, you know what? Or we could talk about movies, music, TV for the summer, something like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud at this point. But the point is, things are not really happening in the NBA.
Nope.
Things are not really happening in the NBA.
Nope.
But with that said, let's get into our listener question of the week. You ready for this?
Oh yeah, this was actually a good question. This is a very good question.
Yeah, man. It's been sitting for a couple of weeks, and I've been wanting to get to this. This is from Paulo. Speaking of Paulo, this is from Paulo in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to North Carolina. Got lots of family in North Carolina. His question is this: what existing franchise has the best all-time starting five? And that does not include players from previous versions of the franchise. So before like a relocation. So it would be like, for example, if you're picking OKC, you can't bring anyone from Seattle.
Seattle, yeah, makes sense.
You know what I mean? If you're picking LA, if you're picking the Lakers, you can't bring George Mikan because he played for the Minneapolis Lakers.
Yep.
Not that anybody would.
The modern era, so to speak.
Yeah, like even Golden State Warriors can't include Wilt because he played for the Philadelphia Warriors.
You're right.
So,
son of
I
didn't even.
Oh,
snap! You're right. He did. For some reason, I thought he was okay. All right. I hear you. Okay.
Yeah. Your boy Rick Barry, he did play for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Well, anyway, I have to adjust that one. Oh man, I'll have to change that one to Andrew Bogut.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
There goes their ranking.
Andrew Bogut. Who's your five? Who's your franchise?
Okay, so I picked a couple of franchises. If you're telling me I had to go with an all-time five?
An existing franchise.
Yep. Best ever to do it.
All-time starting five.
Best to ever do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a bunch of them, but okay, I'm gonna have to, and I'm gonna say that I don't want to say begrudgingly. I'm gonna go with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Interesting.
Simply because just when you go down the list, the amount of firepower you have in there, it's actually kind of scary. And it's interesting because when you think about this, like when I thought about this list, I was a little old school until I started to say, wait a minute, I got to update and see who else has been on this team after a while. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, yikes, that's some scary stuff. So the Bucks, Fear the Deer. I got Oscar Robinson, Giannis, Ray, Sidney Moncrief, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Interesting. So you got So Ray Allen, probably your shooting guard. Sidney Moncrief is your point guard.
Yep.
You got Giannis at small forward or power forward.
Yep.
Kareem.
Yep.
And Oscar Robertson. So I guess you can move Oscar to the point. Sidney Moncrief played shooting guard and point guard.
Yeah. They're interchangeable.
And then Ray Allen, you can move to the small forward position. I think he played a little small forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And then of course our boy Giannis, the Nigerian Nightmare. You can move that man from power forward to small forward fluidly.
Yeah.
They did come to mind, but they're top heavy.
Yes, that's true. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like there are let's just say, let the arguments begin. Because when you go through some of these teams, like there's really maybe about, I only came up to like maybe about 8 or 9 teams that were like, had a legitimate chance of being in this conversation. And it's, anyway, we'll open up the conversation. It gets pretty scary when you look at some of the squads that you could put together with this.
No, it's true. I think the Lakers and the Bulls immediately came to mind, just because if I'm thinking about an all-time starting five, if Michael Jordan is part of that starting five, then goodness gracious.
That's true.
You know, I was even flirting with the Wizards, but then I was thinking, oh, that's right. It's got to be the Wizards, not the Bullets.
Yeah.
So I can't choose anyone from the Bullets. So, okay, forget that.
What hurt me with the Bulls was the center position.
Yes. Well, Artis Gilmore.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's really, really, really good. I just don't know if that's a weakness. You know what I mean? Like compared to everybody else in that center position. So I don't know. Like, I mean, how are you going to match him against like Kareem or Hakeem or Shaq or any of those other folks? Like, you're obviously going to take them over Artis. You know what I mean? No offense to Artis. Shout out to Artis, the man who got drafted twice. You know what I mean? So
I mean, you got Dennis Rodman as your power forward.
Yeah.
Scotty. And then you got Michael and Derrick Rose.
Yeah. Prime Rose.
Hey, Artis Gilmore is a solid center to put in there, man. I mean, because I think those four beat you at all those positions in many cases, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, the one thing Michael Jordan will probably rejoice is that he finally has a legitimate center.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And with that 4, it might not even matter if you have a 5th.
It's true. I got a starting 5 for you.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't go here. Houston.
That I know where you're going with that. I thought the same thing too, but I tried to be different.
Hey man, listen, Hakeem Olajuwon as your center. You got Moses Malone, who played center and power forward. That's your power forward. Ooh. Tracy McGrady as your small forward. James Harden and Chris Paul.
Okay.
And
okay.
Shout out to Steve Francis and Kenny Smith. Sorry, but Chris Paul. You slot that in there. I'm like, that is a lineup.
Okay, so I thought of Chris Paul for a second, but I had Calvin Murphy, but Chris Paul's good. And then I didn't think of
Tracy McGrady.
No, I did think of T-Mac, but I replaced your other big man,
Moses.
With Yao, Prime Yao.
I would never replace
Yao
with Moses Malone is one of the greatest centers of all time.
I hear you, but Prime Yao, like as short as it was.
Yeah, it was like
really
it was like 5 minutes. he was at his prime for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
And then he hurt his foot again.
Yes.
Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Tracy needs a ring. Tracy needs a ring, man.
I hear you. But yeah, Chris Paul definitely. Yeah, actually, that was a very good pick. I thought of that for a second, but I was like, he's only there for a cup of coffee. Like, but okay, he's still on the squad, so you're right.
Let's hear your next one.
The other sneaky one I had was Orlando.
Ooh.
So, and there's a couple of different versions of this. So, I struggled to. Okay, I'm gonna say it anyway. So I had Penny, Vince, T Mac, D12, and Shaq.
Oof.
For a Sorry franchise, they've had some nice players come through there.
They have.
You know?
They have.
Like Penny, Vince, and T-Mac. Like you're crying. Like what are you going to do? And then Shaq and Dwight getting along on the low post. Oof. Like forget offensive rebounds. Forget defensive rebounds. Forget rebounding altogether.
Forget rebounding. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. That's the winner right there. I mean, you put Penny and Tracy McGrady next to each other.
Yeah.
And then Vince.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that version of Vince, not the greatest version of Vince, but a very good version of Vince, nonetheless.
If he's the third option, that's a damn good third option. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, he'd be a fourth option.
Yeah. Well, listen.
He'd be a fourth. Shaq.
Yeah, third or fourth. Like he'll more than outperform at that position. More than outperform.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. That's the winner. Ding ding ding. Right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a good one. I looked at a couple of squads and I was just kind of like, ooh, this might be more than scary hours. Like this might be scary days.
Yeah. Scary year.
Yeah.
Good question, Paulo. Shout out to you in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
If you have more questions like that, Paulo, please, by all means, let us know. But hey, new merch drop. So we have new high and low t-shirts available in our store on Vonn+Abrahamm.com.
Swag.
The link is in the show notes. So check it out. Let the world know your high and low life and the shirts. They're great quality, nice fit. The material gets better with every wash. It really does. And hey, you know where to find us on Twitter, Insta, and TikTok. Leave your questions in the DMs. If you have a question that's as good as Paulo's, please leave it in the DMs. Speaking of leaving things, we need to leave this segment behind, move on to scenarios.
Here we go, yo.
Yeah, I know, always comes to mind. You know what? Another thing that comes to mind whenever I hear the word scenario, and this is Dane Cook's fault.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know if people know Dane Cook. Dane Cook was a comedian, or he is a comedian. He's still alive, but he was really popular in the 2000s. I want to say like 06, 07, 08. He really peaked.
Then disappeared.
And then, he just disappeared. Now he's just known for marrying or dating 18-year-olds. Yeah. Well, he met her when she was 18, and now they've gotten married. It's a weird thing.
Okay,
anyway,
so that's okay.
Enough of that. It's like a throwaway line. So he's setting up his joke, and he's saying to the crowd, he's like,
this was, at the time, this was my girl's favorite scenario, if you're because it's a scenario, easy.
And then he goes into the joke. But I'm like, that's actually, that's quite accurate. The people that say scenario are usually. It was just a little nugget of information that just got tattooed in my brain ever since. So every time I hear the word scenario, I just think about the assholes that say scenario.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, hey, let's move on to scenarios. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more High and Low. And we are back. I'm Ike Amaechi, and I'm here with Ugo, the incomparable Ugo, the Iron Sheik of the High and Low universe, Ugo. Hey, man, if you mess with Ugo, he slap that camel clutch on you real fast. Camel clutch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
remember what he used to do,
Get those
right?
visuals in your head.
Remember he used to do, right? He'd stomp the tips of his toes, right, on his curved shoes, and then he would curl the mustache, and then bam, bam, slap it on you.
But hey, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get into scenarios, if you're. We haven't done this in a while. Yeah, we did this a few times back in the day. Ugo has come up with these situations, these NBA related scenarios, and I'll share what I would do, or we'll both get into it. We'll both share our opinions of what we would do if we were the person in question. So without further delay, without further ado, let's get into it.
So getting into the first one, I will show my affluence at this level. So, c'est bon, mon ami. I have a question for you. If you were Rudy Gobert and you had to do a goodbye note for Donovan Mitchell, and you have to leave it on his locker, right? What would you say?
What would I say?
What would you say? What would you write? You're leaving
in
him
a goodbye note?
Yep, you're leaving him a goodbye note. You're going to put it on a Post-it and put it on his locker on your way out.
I would just say something like, Dear Donovan, just to confirm, your mom's address is...
That's not nice.
Sincerely, your boy.
Oh, that's not nice.
And future stepfather. Rudy, Mr. Call Me Daddy. Go Bear.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, all right.
I would just say, hey, I'm just thinking that it would be on a sour note. There's no, hey, it was great to play with you. Had wonderful times.
Okay.
I think the other opportunity would be, Dear Donovan, if you are touching this letter, enjoy the COVID. Sincerely, Patient Zero.
Patient Zero. There you go. Okay. All right. So I got another one for you. So you're in the I always forget what's Golden State's new arena name. It's not Oracle, is it? No, that's the old name. I always forget the new name. Chase Center, I think it is.
Chase Center.
Yeah,
yes,
there you go. You're in Chase Center. You're in a room. You're with Bob Myers. You're with Mr. I always forget the owner's last name. Larson, something like that. Anyway, whatever.
Who the hell is that?
You are the Golden State capologist master, right? You know the money and what you can and can't do. And Bob
capologist. Sorry, I'm the what?
You're the capologist, right? You know everything about the cap, the money, the whole 9 yards. You're the dude that they talk to, right? Say, hey, can this be done? How do we make it work, right? You're the one that's telling them that you're paying way too much in luxury tax and all these other things, right? Bob just gets off the phone hearing about Draymond saying he wants max money. What do you think? And then what do you say?
It's a good question. I like the way you structured that question.
Yeah.
What you think and what you say are going to be two different things.
So now for context, Golden State pays the highest luxury tax out there. Like they basically pay for two teams. Their team and the luxury team.
Exactly.
I think they paid $300 million last year. So yeah, they're not happy.
Now, is Joe Lacob and Peter Guber in the room? Are they both in the room?
Joe is.
Okay, so Joe Lacob's in the room.
Yeah.
Draymond Green just said he just called.
Bob.
Who did he call?
Bob.
He called Bob Myers.
Yep.
Basically saying, I want the max or the super max. He can't get the super max anyway. He'll have to get the max.
Yeah, max money. Yeah, he can't get super max. He's not eligible for that right now.
So what I'm thinking is this guy has to be smoking his own supply. Ridiculous. I'm probably thinking, when can we trade him and how fast? Let's just start working this out as quickly as we can. Okay. What I would say out loud, though, is I'm going to say, hey, listen, you know what? Draymond is a fantastic person. He's added so much to this team, to this franchise, to the culture. He means a lot. This man is valuable. He's proven this time and time again. Okay, Bob,
Okay.
All right, Bob. So let's not get too rash. I can see the vein in your forehead, and I understand your situation. I understand how you feel right now because I know. And Joe, I can see over there. I know you're steaming. Mad. Joe, just relax. We got this. Don't interrupt. Bob, look at me. Look in my eyes, Bob. Relax. Here's a napkin. Just wipe your forehead. Okay. This is what we're gonna do. All right. Now we've got Kevin Durant. Okay. Kevin Durant wants out. He wants out of Brooklyn. Let's get on the phone with Brooklyn. Let's hear them out. See what they can do. Let's see what deal we can kind of cook up. All right. Don't say anything to Draymond. Let's just tell Draymond that we appreciate everything that he's done, and we're going to consider this because we think that he is worth everything that he thinks he is worth. Maybe we can get a sign and trade with Brooklyn. All right.
Listen, yeah,
okay.
You'll definitely fill up the NBA news space with that one.
The hell yeah! I'm thinking about the perpetual machine.
Yeah, you'll definitely be feeding the machine. That's for sure.
Let's feed something. Let's feed them something in the middle of the summer.
All right, you guys, what's next?
Okay, so I have one other similar one. This was actually for our favorite Laker fan. So you are in a room. You are the assistant GM with our boy Steven. You're in a room with Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, and LeBron, who's on Zoom, right? On Zoom, using free Wi-Fi from the library in Los Angeles, right? Because, he doesn't want to pay for Wi-Fi or any of that stuff. So he's using Zoom and he's only using the Zoom free account, right? The one that's only 40 minutes because he ain't trying to pay for none of that stuff. So the meeting can only be 40 minutes, period, right?
Wow.
And it's you as an assistant GM with Steven as an assistant GM, right? He's also Zoomed into the meeting because he has his other job that he has to do, so he can't be there, right? And he too is using a free account because he refuses to pay for it. And LeBron is talking about opting in or opting out, and he's like, I'm a little concerned about Bronny and what his NBA future is going to look like. What do you say? What do you do?
And I'm just the assistant GM?
You're the assistant GM.
I ain't saying anything. I'm quiet. I'm a mouse in the corner. Bronny? You don't talk. You can't talk ill about anybody's son. No. This is a very similar question as to what do you say and what are you thinking? Because what I'm thinking is that Bronny stinks. He's not playing in the Lakers. He is not going to be in a Laker uniform. That boy is now his brother. Listen, his younger brother.
Yes.
I think he will make the league and be. I think he can be a star. But Bronny, in all seriousness, I think you tell LeBron. I would tell LeBron. I mean, if I have a say in the room as the assistant GM with LeBron, the actual GM, and Rob Pelinka, the president, you say that it'd be great to have Bronny on the team. I think it would sell out arenas all across the NBA if LeBron's last season is spent playing with his son. And I'm just assuming that it would be his last season. Now, I turn to LeBron, of course, on Zoom and ask him, now, LeBron, you've mentioned this in the past that you're going to stick around long enough to play with your son. So I'm assuming that it would be your last season. Give me a nod if I'm correct, LeBron. And if he gives me a nod, okay, well then, all right. I wouldn't waste a draft pick. I would take Rob Pelinka's side and say, don't draft this kid. No one else is going to draft him, so we can just pick him up. We could just pick him up as an unrestricted free agent.
You don't think anybody would pick him up just out of spite?
No, I don't think anyone's going to draft that kid, man.
Really, eh? Like just not to maybe use it as a bait to get LeBron.
So the rumor is that he's probably going to go to Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the other big name that's going to be heading to Kansas as well at this point. But
well, he's not going to be the prime player at Kansas. We all know that.
Well, he's not, because he's not. I think he's ranked 45, 50 in the country.
Oh.
His ranking dropped
Okay.
from last year. He's not a top 10 recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he goes to Kansas, he'll probably be maybe a second, third option. I think he'll put up numbers that are decent, so I can easily see someone, maybe, you've talked me into it. I've been swayed. Maybe he'll go in the second round. Maybe the Lakers will have to waste a pick on him in the second round, but he's not going in the first round.
Yeah. Is it really a waste for them? Like, well, it's not like they're not ones to draft and develop and make these awesome players out of like late first round, second round picks. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. What would you say in that situation?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a good one. So I probably would giggle in the room because I would be just like, wow, like this, I can't believe it. I knew this was coming. I can't believe this happened. Then I would look at Steven through the monitor to see his expression. And then I would say to Pelinka, like, listen, if we're the Lakers, I mean, to be honest, it's probably going to not look so good, but I mean, we could technically afford this. I'm not really concerned if it's LeBron's last swan song. I'm more concerned about, listen, how can we maximize on this in every possible way? And I'm not talking necessarily exploiting it, but if it allows us to improve the brand in any way, shape, or form, I would just say, listen, if he wants to play another season with his son in Sacramento or in Toronto or in Miami or wherever he wants to, I don't care, as long as the first one is here. Because chances are, with LeBron at that age and Bronny coming in, you're probably not winning a chip wherever you go anyway, unless LeBron takes a ridiculous pay cut to join a team that's super duper stacked. And then even that, what's going to happen there, right? Maybe Adam looks at it and goes, hey, what's going on here with the collusion and the tampering, which usually amounts to nothing anyway. But I would just say, listen, Rob, Jeannie, like, let's just take full advantage of this. Let's be the NBA feel-good story of the season, right? Oh, is it possible LeBron and Bronny could be the first father-son duo in the playoffs? That kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. That's what I would advise them, because,
okay,
I don't think at that point you think you're going to win a championship. AD is probably out of the league and, probably in suspended animation or something like that. Russ is probably in China. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Like, you don't have the squad that you have, If your number one or number two is Buddy Hield, yeah, you got issues. So it is what it is.
Well, here's an opportunity to tie in scenario number 2 with scenario number 3. If LeBron is asking about Bronny, then what I'm saying to Rob Pelinka is, I think we should get Bob Myers on the phone, because I'm hearing through the grapevine that Draymond's asking for a max.
Yeah,
a max deal. So maybe I can't see Bob giving Draymond the max. So maybe there's an opportunity to get, LeBron. He's been hinting at wanting to play with Steph.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an opportunity to have LeBron maybe play. He can play in Golden State, and then Bronny. Maybe we pick up Bronny with that draft pick, and then we package that in the trade.
Okay.
Scenarios, if you're okay. I've enough bleeps today.
Why the fuck I can't shoot 3-point shots?
This brings us to the conclusion of another stellar episode of the High and Low Show. Thank you for the great conversation, Ugo. Much appreciated. Hey, listeners, if you haven't done so, subscribe to High and Low anywhere you find podcasts. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and we're on TikTok. Details are in the show notes. But where can listeners find you, Ugo?
You can still find me as thirsty.hero on Instagram. Funny story, the few people that follow me on Instagram, they were asking me quite a few questions about Thirsty Hero and why I changed my name to that and what does it mean, right? I had one particular friend of mine, shout out to Wiley out in Taiwan. He just simply wrote thirsty with a question mark.
It's very fitting, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. So I had to kind of explain to him how I was trolling a thirsty villain and whatnot, and then his response was thirsty with a question mark. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Thirsty Hero. I might change it again. We'll see.
Yes, thirsty.hero. That's where you can find them. Hey, once again, music is by Live of the Enjoy Music Group. That's the music you're listening to right now. You can find Live on Instagram and on Twitter at LYVE. Music is also by the Ayatollah of Beats and Cola, Sonny Rockwell. He's Sonny Rockwell's from the goodness. Yeah, can't find him anywhere though. I've tried. I've looked east, west, north, south, everywhere. Anyway, enough about that guy. Sound design is by Vonn+Abrahamm. This is a Vonn+Abrahamm podcast, just in case you didn't know. So on behalf of Ugo, the Iron Sheik of the podcast, I'm Ike Amaechi. Thank you for listening to High and Low. We'll see you next week.
Why don't you just put Sonny Rockwell on like a milk carton or something? I'm sure somebody must have seen it.
That's a very good idea.